what we have discussed is the merge sort is basically an algorithm which follows the divide and conquer approach. It means that the entire problem statement, that means if you are sorting an array of 100 numbers, then that first 100 numbers will be divided into 50-50 each. Then 50 numbers will be considered as a new problem statement. Then that 50 numbers once again will follow the same approach. It's a recursive approach. Once again that 50 will be divided into 25, 25 and like this. Till there is no further division is possible. And once you reach at that stage, it means that now you have an individual number in an array which is to be sorted. And the solution for that problem is very simple and straightforward. If you have only one number in a array, that means that you don't require any sorting. It is already sorted. Now the next step is we have performed divide, we have performed conquer, and the third step is the combine. Now what this combined step will do, we have already discussed that when you want to combine two parts which is already sorted, you will simply start with three indices, one with first part, second with the second part, and third is for an auxiliary array, or you can say a temporary variable. Now once you start merging this together, what you will be doing is that you will first compare the first number from first part and first number from the second part. Whatever is the lower one, that will be copied into the output. And the index for that part which is being copied will be incremented by 1. So this is what we are doing in the merge sort. For better understanding the same, I will discuss one more example with one more visualization tool which I have found. So you can simply look at that example and so let me stop this sharing window. So I am now showing you the another visualization of merge sort. I hope you are looking at a tool called Algomation. Now this is basically an online tool which has a provision for visualizing some of the algorithms which are there in your syllabus. I found merge sort is nicely explained over here. So let us start with the execution. So we are actually, this was our problem statement, right? This one. So we want to sort these numbers, indicates that bar chart indicates the value of that number. We are not interested in what is the exact value, but that indicates that there is an dissimilarity and there is no order in these numbers. So what is our goal is to sort this, and that is using divide and conquer approach. So what it will do, as we have discussed, first it is, okay, correct. First, it will divide the problem statement into two parts, right? So first part, the left part, before it looks inside the right part, remember it's a recursive one. So before it looks into the right part, once again, this will be considered as a new call to the problem statement, and further it will be divided into two parts. Like this, division will take place. You can see this, again division, again division. Now you have only one number which is to be sorted. Now obviously it is already sorted, right? So next is second number which is already sorted. Once again the right part will be considered which is sorted. Okay. Okay. Again this division only. So this, each of these step, they are still just performing the division. But you need to understand it's a recursive call, so it's not like Now entire left part is over, then it will go for the right. Again left, 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 then right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. So like this, it will keep on dividing the numbers till it reaches a state where each number is an individual element. Now, once again, it will start merging the result. So obviously, the first which will start merging is from the leftmost part. So what it will do, it will try to merge these two numbers, and because you are trying to merging this in sorted order, the smaller one will be copied on the left side and the larger one. Again, this to be will be merged in order in which the division was taken place. In the same order, merge operation will taken place. So what happens now? You are actually merging these four numbers again. Okay. So these two will be merged, then this two will be merged. So now these two are merging. So like this, if you observe, you need to understand the how the algorithm runs actually. I think that gives you the good picture of how actual merge operation takes place. You can observe that whenever it is being merged, it is doing in such a way that the resultant is always sorted. At the same time, whatever you are merging, that has to be sorted as well. So if you say that you are merging these two part, or let us say this, if you are merging these two, it has to be sorted. You can say that. So let this finish and then we move to the discussion of the next algorithm. I hope the merge sort is clear, right? Remember, this is the same problem statement which you will be studying in the next year also. So you are in the third sem. In the fifth sem, you will be studying the same problem statement, but the subject will be different. That will be on algorithms. So these are the important problem statement which you need to understand carefully so that you can save your time in the next semester. Fine. So this is about merge sort. This is how it actually sorts the numbers once you have this. So let me continue with the presentation. Okay. So this was merge sort. Now there is something called analysis as well. See, what to do if the number list is odd? Good question. Yes, in that case, if there are five numbers, then division will take place. If you observe this algorithm, see this. If you observe this algorithm, this is low plus high by 2. Mid is equal to low plus high by 2. So when you are dividing of, let us say, 5 number, then your low one will be 1 and 1 plus 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And your high will be 5. So it is 1 plus 5 divided by 2. 1 plus 5 is 6. 6 divided by 2. That means you are dividing your number into two parts. The mid value is 3. 6 by 2 is 3. So that means you are dividing your number into two parts. This is 1 and this is 3. And mid plus 1 means 4 and 5. So 1 and 3 means there are three numbers in this part, and 4 and 5 means there are two numbers in this part. So whenever you have a division or odd numbers, in that case what will happen? Only one one more call will be made for odd numbers. That means the number with the higher part. So here there are two calls. So two further will be divided into 1 and 1, and that's it. But what will happen in this case? This function will again make a call for 1, 2, 3. Now 1, 2, 3 means which again comes here. 1 plus 3 by 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 by 2 is 2. So again it makes a call between 1 to 2, and then 2 plus 1, 3, 2, 3. So it means that when you have a higher number, it will make one more call, but the result will be same. Again, if you see this 1 and 2, that means you are sorting two numbers. So two numbers will come here, 1 and 2. 1 plus 2 divided by low plus high divided by 2. 1 plus 2 divided by 2. 3, 3 divided by 2. That's 1. If you are considering the uh, floor function. So 1 plus 2, that is 3, 3 by 2, that is 1.5, and floor function, so it's 1. So what we are doing, dividing now, 1 and 1, and then 1 plus 1, so that is 2 and 2. So now you have two individual number, 1 1 means our first number and 2 2 means the second number. So what I mean to convey is that when you have odd numbers, the algorithm will take care of it by having one more division for one part of the algorithm. So it will be more clear when you implement this problem statement. Otherwise, you don't need to change anything in the algorithm actually whenever you have even numbers or odd numbers. Only thing which you need to take care is that when you are writing this function mid is equal to low plus high by 2, you have to take care of the fraction. That means the mid cannot be a fraction value. That means mid cannot be 1.5. It has to be either 1 or it has to be either 2. So either you have to use the ceiling function. Ceiling function means 1.5 will be converted to 2, or you have to use a floor function. Floor function means 1.5 will be converted to 1. And in every step, whenever you have this fraction number, either you have to go for the ceiling or you have to go for a फ्लोर. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि एरे में कुछ एक जगह पे आप सीलिंग फंक्शन यूज करो, कुछ एक जगह पे आप फ्लोर फंक्शन यूज करो. दैट्स नॉट should be the case. Actually, it will not be the case because ultimately, whatever you write over here, either you are writing ceiling or a floor, that will be applied to each and every division whenever it is computing this mid value. So I hope it's clear, your query. Fine. So let us go further. What I was discussing is the analysis. Now, this is actually, you have an entire subject on this, that is Algorithm Design and Analysis, ADA, in the next year, 5th semester. So I'm not going to discuss this in detail. What you need to remember is that because you are dividing entire problem statement into two parts every time, and if you draw the binary tree, that means if there are 10 numbers, then what will happen is 10 will be divided into 2 once again. So it will form kind of a binary tree. Now at this time you don't know what is binary tree. So you might not understand that as well. But what you need to understand, or I should not say understand, I will say that you need to remember the time complexity of merge sort is big O of n log n. Now you don't know what is big O right now, but don't worry about it. You will understand that in the uh, subsequent classes, but not in detail actually. As I told you, this is there in your next year, this subject is, but you need to just remember the time complexity. It's big of n log n. Time complexity of I don't know whether I have discussed it or not. Time complexity of selection sort is big of n square. Here time complexity of bubble sort is also big of n square. So something is n square, this is also n square, and this is n log n, merge sort. And because n log n is lesser than n square, merge sort is considered to be the better algorithm compared to the bubble sort and selection sort. We'll not discuss more on that. I am deliberately putting it on a low brief only. So don't worry about this and don't ask me any question on this, right? because it requires a lot of understanding. What do we mean by n square and n log n? At this time, you just need to remember the time complexity. That's it. That will solve the purpose. And you need to remember that merge sort is better than bubble sort and selection sort when it comes to the performance of the sorting. Okay. So let us move to the next sorting technique, that is called a quick sort. Now, once again, it is uh, an approach which is known as divide and conquer approach. That means your problem statement will be divided into parts. Again, it is only two part only. So your problem statement will be divided into two part only. But the division is not trivial. Trivial means it's not like low is mid equal to low plus high by 2. That means every time you are not finding midpoint and dividing it. Here division is made in such a way, so it kind of a smart division, you can say. You are dividing a problem into such a way that you don't require a combined step at the last. So instead of simple mid is equal to low plus high by 2, here you are having a smart division, which is actually another algorithm, which is called a partition algorithm, right? We'll discuss how partition algorithm works, and we will also discuss why this partition algorithm will not require the third step of divide and conquer technique. Remember, divide and conquer is three-step technique. First is divide, second is conquer, and third one is combine. Here we are not actually having a combined phase. Here we are having only two phase, divide and conquer. Conquer will be taken care by this partition algorithm, and division we are doing over here. If you observe the merge sort, we have three steps. First is division, then conquer. So here we are dividing, then conquer means you are solving the sub problems, and then combine. Combine means you are merging the results of these two parts together. Whereas in this case, you don't have a combined step, you only have this divide and conquer. Why it is so? That is because of this division algorithm, excuse me, which is more smarter than the one which we do in merge sort algorithm. So instead of having a simple mathematical equation for division, here we have algorithm which is called a partition algorithm. Now we need to understand how this partition algorithm works. Now before we discuss this algorithm, I want to have some visualization on that. Unfortunately, I couldn't find out something which is straightforward, so I will have to do it manually. Fine, but still that will be good. So I will stop this screen. And I'm sharing another screen. Okay. So I hope you are looking at this. So let us say we have some numbers we want to sort. Okay. So first number, I'm deliberately putting it as an individual number so that even though it's an array, let us keep it small. So we have this number which we want to sort. One, two, three, four, 5. So let us say we have these 9 numbers which we want to sort. What we are supposed to understand is the partition algorithm. So how the partition algorithm works? See, there are different versions of partition algorithm, but I will discuss the most popular one and which is the most simpler one. I'm not saying different version means this entirely different approach. The only way they are starting the partitioning that is different. Otherwise, the approach is same. So either they can start the partition for a leftmost number or rightmost number or some random number. We will not go for any random one. We will not go for the rightmost. We will discuss how they actually do it using the leftmost number. So what happens that let us say we want to start partitioning from numbers, so they will take some number as a pivot number. So here this number is my pivot number. Pivot is, let us say, some number which we are remembering. And every time I want to partition this, right? So here is the first number, then second, third, fourth, like this. We want to partition this. Partitioning means that whatever is the pivot number, you will find out the exact position of that pivot number inside an array. So obviously, what is the exact position? Exact means the position after sorting. So this is 3. So my point is that this will be the exact position of 3 once it is sorted. So what this algorithm will do, it will find out a place where 3 is to be put. It will put 3 at that point, or it will put that value of 3 at this point, and then it will simply perform. So this is my partitioning, right? Partitioning means that now my array is divided into two parts. One is this, so this is one, and this is another, right? So this is one part and this is second part. Now once again I will sort this using the same approach of quick sort. Again I will sort this using the same approach of quick sort. What will happen? Again this 4 is my pivot number. So what is the exact position of 4 here? Yes, anyone. If you see this, it is 1, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 9. This should be the sorted array. So 1 is my first place. The exact position will be the second one. So what will happen? This 4 will come at the second place. Obviously someone will take the position of 1. But the point is, this is how entire algorithm, I think I will discuss by using the algorithmic steps only, otherwise it will not be clear. So let us say we have this pivot number. How to find the position of 3, that or the exact position of 3? If you put 3 over here, it means that all the numbers which are less than 3 should be on the left part, and all the number which are greater than 3 should be on the right part. So if I want to do something, or if I want to put my 3 at a place in a sorted order, anything less than 3 has to be on the left of 3, anything greater than 3 has to be on the right of 3. So what happens? You will start with 2 pointers. So one is my, let us say, I pointer, and second is, so it's very difficult. I think the class board is very simple. So we'll take with two pointers. One is I, second is J. So this is my I and this is J. What happens, what we are interested in, I should start with the left part, or you can also skip this because our pivot is at the left position. So, or let us say do it in the same way which is there in the algorithm. So what I will do, I will start with the left part and J will start from the right part. I will keep on moving I till I found a number which is less than or equal to 3. Why I will keep on moving it? The reason for that, the number which are less than or equal to 3 should be not touched. That means they should be remain as it is, because what we are interested is in putting 3 in a place. So anything which is less than or equal to 3 should not be touched, should not be, its position should not be changed. So what happens? I will start from this part and it goes in this direction. J will start from the rightmost part and goes in the left direction. What is the task of J? It will find out, or I should say, J will keep on moving till a number which is greater than or equal to 3. Sorry, greater than 3, not equal to 3. The number which is greater than 3. The reason for that is because anything which is greater than 3 has to be on the right of 3. So there is no point of changing its position. I or J both will be stopped when I find something which is greater than 3 and J finds something which is less than 3. Because that is the case where you require to perform a swap operation. So let us say how it does. So we'll start with I. I is obviously 3, so 3 is not greater. So I will keep on moving till the number is less than or equal to 3. So what happens? 3 is less than or equal to 3, so it will move to the next. Then it comes to 8. 8 is less than or equal to 3? No. So I stops here. Then J starts its search operation. It will keep on skipping the number which are greater than 3. So 5 is greater than 3, yes. 6 is greater than 3, yes. 1 is greater than 3, no. So what happens now? J stops here. Now I and J both are stopped and both indicates a number which is not satisfying our conditions or which is not satisfying our objective. Our objective is number on the left of 3 should be less than 3, number on the right of 3 should be greater than 3. So they both are reaching at a state where that particular number is not satisfying the condition. So now what we'll do? Now we will check the position of I and J. If I and J has overlapped, that means I and J has crossed, something like this, then it indicates that algorithm has to be stopped. But if I and J is something like this, I is less than J. So basically you will be comparing the value of I with value of J. If I is less than J, then you will simply swap these two values. So what happens? 1 will come at the place of 8 and 8 will come at the place of 1. Clear? Because I is less than J, we have swapped the values of the numbers which are not satisfying the conditions. So what it has done now? It has done that once again you can continue with your movement, you can continue with your comparisons. So what this will do now? Remember, I is keeping those number which are less than or equal to the pivot number. So what happens? 1 is less than or equal to pivot number? Yes. 2 is less than or equal to pivot. Pivot is 3, remember. 2 is less than or equal to pivot, yes. Then comes 4. 4 is less than or equal to pivot, no. So what happens now? I will stop here. Then J starts his operation. Remember, task of J is to skip all the numbers which are greater than the pivot. Pivot is 3. So 8 is greater than 3, yes. So move. 9 is greater than 3, yes. Move. 7 is greater than 3, yes. Move. 4 is greater than 3, yes. Move. 2 is greater than 3, no. So stop. When you stop, what you are checking is the position of I and j. If I is less than j, then you will swap the value. But if I is not less than j, that means that I and j is overlapped. Now here is the case where I and j is overlapped. So that indicates that you should stop your operations. So what happens now? Now you will swap the value of the numbers which is positioned by j with the pivot element. So this two will be swapped now. So 2 will come take the position of 3 and this will take the position of 2. So what happens now? We have swapped these two value, algorithm has terminated, and this is the value which gives you the partitioning. So by this point or by this particular element we are partitioning two algorithms. I hope partition algorithm is clear. Now what happens in the next case? In next case, so this is my partitioning, right? Okay. Now I have two arrays to be. So just for understanding, I am splitting like this. Otherwise, they are not splitted actually. They are actually like array only, right? But just for the understanding, I am doing this. So it means that now you have split the algorithm. Now this is my left part, this is my right part, and this is my j. J is actually the point position at which partition has taken place. So now once again I will start using that I and j. So what happens? This is my, just a minute. First of all, for this particular part, what is my partitioning element? Oh, sorry, what is my pivot element? Leftmost number. So leftmost number is 2. So 2 is my pivot now. And I will have two pointer. One is I. And second is J. J. Okay. Once again I will do its task. Skip all the numbers which are greater than, sorry, less than or equal to pivot number. Pivot is 2. So skip all the numbers which are less than or equal to 2 is less than or equal to 2. So increment 1. 1 is less than or equal to 2. So increment, it comes here. Now, this is another condition actually. It goes out basically. So this should not be the case. That means whenever you are comparing or whenever you are moving this I, you will not just check for one condition, A of I is less than pivot. There will be another condition which will check that A of I should be always less than or equal to the the boundary. So boundary is here. This is my right, and this is my left. So it should not go beyond this. If it goes beyond that, then that should be the stop condition. Remember, it's a loop. So there should be a stoppage where I will stop. So there is one stop which we have discussed. I will stop if the number which is represented by I is greater than the pivot, or second case, I will stop if it goes out of the range. Here it goes out of the range, so it will stop here. Once I stops, J starts his operation. What happens? Task of J is to swap, skip those numbers which are greater than pivot. Pivot is 2, so it will check. 1 is greater than 2, no, so J stops here only. It doesn't goes further. Now once again, J stop, I stop, so you will check the position of I and J, right? If I is less than J, then number represented by I and number represented by J will be swapped. But here, this is the case where actually they have overlapped, they have exchanged, that means they have crossed over. So what will happen now? It indicates the termination of algorithm, it indicates that you have found the partition, and that partitioning is being represented by this index, that is J. And before you return the algorithm, what you will do is you will swap A of J with pivot. So A of J is 1, so that will be swapped with pivot, and this is your partitioning. Right. Now in this partitioning scheme, you don't have anything on the right, but that's fine. You only have one element on the left. So once again, this will go for the I and J, same position over here. I will move further. Once I goes here, let me tell you. So I and J both are pointing to 1. I will start it operation. So I comes here. Once I goes there, I stops J. J will not go beyond it. Obviously, J will stop here. So J is stopped. I is stopped. 1 will be swapped with 1. So that will be sorted. So this is actually your partitioning again. Once you are done with the left part of 3, then you will start with right part of 3. So what happens now is, once again you have this I and J. Now your pivot is 4. So what is the task of I? Skip all the numbers which are less than or equal to pivot. Pivot is 4. So 4 will be skipped. 7, 7 is not less than 4, so I stops here. Task of this is skip all the numbers which are greater than what? Pivot. So pivot is 4, 5 is greater than pivot, 6 is greater than pivot, 8 is greater than pivot, 9 is greater than pivot, 7 is greater than pivot. Then it comes here. 4. 4 is not greater than pivot, so J stops. Once again, I and J are, can see they have overlapped. Overlapped means the algorithm will terminate here. Pivot number will be swapped with A of J. Here pivot is also 4 and A of J is also 4. So that means they will not be swapped. Actually, whatever, it is already the same number, so no required of a swap operation. So that indicates your partitioning. So my number is partitioned in 2 parts. Now in this case, there is nothing on the left of partition element. There is an entire array on the right of it. So what happens now? This becomes my new array which is to be sorted. Once again, it will take 2 components. So So this is my I and this is J. Now my pivot is 7. So this is 7. There is some syncing issue. So I hope the approach is clear. I will still finish this, but what I want is you should understand the approach, because if you have understood the approach, then understanding the algorithm is very simple. I don't know what they are going to do now. Fine. So this is okay. We are actually, so this was also done actually, right? So we are looking at these two numbers, I and J. Now this is the pivot element. So this is I, this is J. I will skip the numbers which are less than or equal to pivot. So 7 is less than or equal to pivot, so that will be skipped. 9 is not less than or equal to pivot, so I stops here. Job of 5 is to skip those numbers which are greater than pivot. So 5 is not greater than pivot, so J stops here. Now what happens? I stop, J stopped. We'll check the position of I and J. If they have overlapped, then the algorithm is over, partition algorithm is over. Here they have not overlapped, I is less than J. Because I is less than J, then swapping of A of I and A of J will take place. So this is what happens, right? Once again, I continues its operation. I's operation is to skip those numbers which are less than pivot. 5 is less than pivot, so it goes further. 8 is not less than pivot, so stops. J will start its operation. Its operation is to skip those numbers which are greater than pivot. 9 is greater than pivot, so it goes further. 6 is not greater than pivot, so J stops here. Again, I and J's position will be checked. If I is less than J, then swap. If I is greater than J, then stop. So I is less than J here also, then swap. Swap means these two will be swapped. So 6 and 8 will be swapped, right? Once again, I starts its operation. Skip the numbers which are greater than J, sorry, less than J. So 6 is less than, sorry, not J, but pivot. So 6 is less than pivot, so skip. 8 is not less than pivot, so it stops here. J will start its operation, skip those numbers which are greater than pivot. So 8 is greater than pivot, so move further. 6 is not greater than pivot, so it stops here. Once again, if you check the position, if I is less than J, then swap. If I is greater than J, then stop. Here I is greater than J, so it stop. But before you stop, what you will do is you will swap the numbers at A of J with the pivot number. So here pivot is 7. So that will be swapped with 6. And this will be my partitioning. Right. So now I require to sort these two part 6, 5 and 8, 9. Right. So I hope example is clear now. Once again, it will do the same thing which I have done. Okay, at every time what you get is a position in place. A pivot number will be always find its position. Position, when I say find its position, it means that position after sorting those numbers. So 7 will find its position after sorting. So if you sort this number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 7 will be always there. So because your approach is such that if you do just the partition and if you simply divide the entire array the way we are dividing it using partition algorithm, at the end what you will have is something like this. So 5 is will be swapped. So here you have something like this. Something like this. Every time you do this, what you will get is at the end you will have something like this. And if you see this, right, this entire array is sorted. So now you don't require any merge operation. What I mean to convey is your entire array is already sorted. So if you partition the algorithm the way we do it in this algorithm, you don't require a merge operation. So I hope the approach is clear, and I have taken 50 minutes also, so I think I should stop here as well. Still, we need to discuss the algorithm. Make sure that you write these points or you refer to my videos before you discuss or before we discuss the actual algorithm in the next class, because you need to recall the understanding, right? The understanding behind the quick shot before we discuss the actual algorithm. So that's all for today. There was one query from Rushikesh. Explain once again, please. So I'm not sure you are talking about quick shot or merge shot. It was 24 minutes before. Yes, Rushikesh. Okay, fine. So that's it. Have a good day.